Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it. Now remember, lots of adults and kids too paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet. Otherwise, we will be forced to evict all disturbance makers from the theater. Those asked to leave today will be refused admission to this theater in the future. Thank you.
What a dick.
Oh, hold on.
It's good.
I give up.
What's happening? What is this?
My mic. I don't know.
Oh, was that? Is it anywhere near your? It's not even near your mouth. Like it's gonna pick up like Data over there talking. I don't think Data is gonna say anything.
How about that?
This can't all be true.
Every word.
Hello, I'm Hot Toddy. That's Miss Pengrino, and welcome to an all-new episode of. I was gonna start it.
Nope.
Now you don't get me to finish it.
That's what she said.
That's in poor taste.
And on this episode of Get Real, we are going to talk about the. Let me count. 1, 2, 3.
40.
4, 5, 6. Technically, it's part of the 7th film of Mission Impossible, but I guess if you're counting it as in terms of films itself, it's the 8th and final edition of Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
AKA number 40.
Okay, Miss Pengrino, I guess you can figure it out by now, but Miss Pengrino, what did you think of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning?
Meh.
What the f*** does that even mean?
I mean, it could have been a decent movie, but they made it way too long. I have no patience for this, and I'm sorry, you don't need 8 of something.
Well, here's the thing. Mission Impossible is not... It's like an Indiana Jones, because the Indiana Jones movies never really told a story. It was villain of the week, you know?
They're in series, but not in series.
But not in a series, yeah. And so that's why, a lot like the old James Bond films, the Daniel Craig films actually did follow like a plot line, like a storyline, which leads to, spoiler if you've never seen the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, leads to James Bond's death at the end. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting, you know, that's an interesting take, but it actually did have a storyline, a plot line. The thing about Mission Impossible is these movies did not have a storyline that they followed, but in the final movie, it all came together. Everything that has happened, but spoiler alert, this movie's been up for almost a month, but spoiler alert, all the movies have a connection to the final reckoning, to this final event that's happening.
Do tell.
Well, no, that's basically it. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say to that.
Fascinating.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically what's happening, is that they all have a weird connection to this final film. And I found that very interesting. And I wanted to share this with you. This is my, let's see if we can make it focus. This is is it focusing? I can't tell. Okay. So this is my Ethan Hunt action figure, my Tom Cruise Ethan Hunt action figure.
He doesn't look like that.
He doesn't. He's never looked like that.
Never, even in his young years.
Yeah, but this is
like that.
Right, but this is my Ethan Hunt action figure from the first Mission Impossible. This is his outfit that he's wearing when he does the iconic...
You almost smacked me in the face.
That's what happens. See, when he's doing his iconic hover over the floor, when he's trying to get the knock list, the list of agents' names. So that's that. And I got this in 1996 when that movie came out. So, like, I have been a lifelong fan of this movie.
And I have not.
Fascinating.
Well, the first one came out right after we finished the first grade. And I've loved it. I've loved the whole series. There's only one of the movies I haven't seen. That's Rogue Nation. And that's going to change because this movie, I just want to say it, I loved this movie. I thought this movie was incredible. It was the best one out of all of them.
But you haven't seen all of them.
But from the ones that I've seen, other than Rogue Nation, it blew me away. Like, I just was not prepared for just how intense it was, how awesome it was, and how they were going to piece it together. Like, I was just very surprised, but happy.
I'm not saying it's not a decent action film. However,
Oh shit. Here we go again.
it is way too long. It is like 3 hours long.
It clocks in at like 2 hours and 50 minutes, I think we saw.
So 3 hours long. Okay?
Yeah.
Longer if you're including like the
Previews.
Thank you. Commercials, all the things.
Commercials,
okay?
yeah.
So over 3 hours. Of Tom Cruise just being Tom Cruise
Yeah.
himself. Half
Doing his
these
thing.
scenes we could have cut out. They were redundant, or at least shortened them. There were, 20-minute scenes that probably could have been 5 minutes.
I will
10 at
say,
most.
my biggest issue with the movie was that it got to a point where we're just like, okay, now it's just it's completely unbelievable.
These things could not happen.
I actually started laughing. I don't know if you heard. I started laughing in a little bit when he was on the plane towards the end of the movie, because like all these things, like he would have died 100 times over.
1,000 times
But
over.
it just kept getting more ridiculous, and I thought that is great.
I literally kept leaning to you going, yeah, that could never happen.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
that could never happen.
it couldn't happen. You're right, because this is a fantasy action movie. But that being said,
You should keep some reality.
well, okay.
Gotcha there.
But these are Mission Impossible. Much like the James Bond movies, there's not a whole lot of reality to be seen. You see what I'm saying?
This time we're actually hefty on and it applies.
But no, I thought it overall was just amazing. Like that's the thing about the Mission Impossible movies, and anybody who has reviewed these films will agree that they have gotten better over time. Like there's never been a bad Mission Impossible film. They have all been consistently really good. They've spaced them out to an extent to where you never got tired of them. They only did 8. They only did 8. They didn't.
Only 8.
Well, you think about Marvel. Like I mean, we have got
Tired of Marvels too.
That's what I'm saying. We've got such superhero fatigue from the Marvel movies. They're coming out with another Superman on the DC side.
it looks awful.
They're starting all over again with that. It's like it's getting to a point where we can't anymore. We can't
What
anymore.
happened to just a dumb comedy? Can I get one of those?
Well, see, the dumb comedies do come out, but they don't do well in the theaters anymore, and they have to put them on Netflix or Hulu or something.
Well, boo, because I want those.
Yeah, but see, I mean, that's where we are in life right now. It is very frustrating, but that's the thing. It's like these, the thing about Mission Impossible is like sure, the movies probably got continuously long over the course of its 30 years in existence, but
Plus, nowadays movies are just a
there
lot longer.
any movie,
So much longer.
especially with a returning franchise, a movie,
so hard.
a movie that has a long-standing franchise like Mission Impossible, they're going to make them long on purpose. So
At this point, if a movie needs an intermission, it's too much.
well, the movie
It's too much.
didn't have an intermission.
But I'm saying, if it's long enough that it could have, which this one could have, it's too much.
No,
Yes, it could have.
didn't need it wasn't that long.
It was 3 hours.
I don't care.
And it was worth it because you were on the edge of your seat the entire time, from beginning to end.
I wasn't.
I was. I just thought it was great. I really liked how, like I said, the biggest thing for me was how they were able to connect all the movies to this movie. The fact that we met... Oh, there's spoilers ahead here. Spoiler alert. But again, we're recording this on June 15th. The movie's been out since May 22nd. So I have
Sure
a
you've seen it
feeling...
if you've gonna
I have a feeling you may have seen it already. But if not, spoilers ahead here. We meet Jim Phelps's son. Now you don't know who Jim Phelps is, but he was the team leader of the original Mission Impossible, the first film, and you come to find out towards the end of that movie that he was a traitor. He staged his death. He killed his Ethan Hunt's entire team, leaving Ethan alive to be framed. And even faked his own death. But then he comes back, and then you realize, oh, he faked this whole thing because he's a douchebag. And
Douchebag?
Douchebag.
A douchebag.
A douchebag.
Lord and Lady Douchebag.
And so he has to face off against Ethan in the end. He does get killed, but we meet Jim Phelps Jr., who is now a part of the IMF or CIA, whatever they are now. Which I said in the car after the movie, like, wouldn't they feel a little weird hiring the son of a traitor to join them?
To which my response was, yeah, I mean, they probably did, but he wasn't going by his father's name. He was going by a different name. So it's a question if they even knew.
But that's questionable too. You know, why would you?
Yeah, you think you would know.
Yeah, I mean, that's something.
You're the CIA. You should be doing
That's something you really ought not to do.
You should be doing background checks.
You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And so it came off. That part came off a little weird to me. A little odd, a little weird. But
yeah.
But you know, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so Jim Phelps Jr. is in the movie, but that ties back to the beginning, and then and then May 22nd, 1996, Ethan lost someone special to him. So did the President of the United States, played by Angela Bassett in this film. What makes May 22nd, 1996 unique in the real world is that was the day that the first Mission Impossible movie came out, May 22nd, 1996. And so, you know, it all ties back to that. The entity who was the villain in this movie, the AI, the entity, basically, which, I'm sorry, I will say, that hit a little too close to home. Everything that's happening in this movie, and we'll get to that, hit a little too close to home. It was a little.
Also,
it made
this
me.
movie was a struggle for me.
It made me gave me a lot of anxiety and made me uncomfortable. But the entity somehow connects to the MacGuffin from the third Mission Impossible movie, the thing that Philip Seymour Hoffman's character was trying to steal. What I was trying to say a second ago. What makes the Mission Impossible movies so... I love them to death, but what can be frustrating is that they are hard to follow sometimes. So it's hard to connect all the dots and, you know, punch in all the pieces there. But yeah, you know, so it all links back to these past missions. It all comes down to this. And so I really liked that. I liked how we went back and we revisited everything.
I mean, it is good for a final. I don't feel like a lot of finals in series wrap everything up. So, and you're saying it does. Again, guys, I'm a little biased. I've only seen 2 Mission Impossibles.
And it was really the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It was the same
the beginning
story.
part of the story,
Dead Reckoning,
and then the ending,
and then the final
story.
reckoning. Yeah.
So, but you're saying it wrapped it up. Most like series films don't do that.
Well,
they
yeah,
sorta do. But the way you're making it sound is like this is like coming full circle.
It came full circle, and we really didn't think it would. Again, Mission Impossible is very much like the old days James Bond films and the Indiana Jones films, where it was like mission of the week, villain of the week. You dealt with that in that movie, and then it's forgotten in the next film. You know, you don't talk about it, or maybe there's like a little nugget of something in the next film, like a running gag in Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones series is that there was always a slight callback to Raiders in every film, other than Temple of Doom, because Temple of Doom is technically a prequel to Raiders. But there was always like a little nugget of something. In Last Crusade, when they're in the cave, they see a drawing of the Jesus Christ
Ark.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know what I'm doing.
The Ark of the Covenant on the wall. In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, when they're fighting in the warehouse, they accidentally knock over the case that has the Ark in it. And then in Dial of Destiny, I think Indiana Jones mentions it at one point. You know, so it's like they always have this little callback. Oh yeah, and in the ending scene where Indy and Marion get back together. They do the same little thing that they did on the submarine when they're like, where does it hurt? Here. Here.
Where doesn't it hurt?
Here. It doesn't hurt here.
And it was cute.
Yeah, hard to hear.
Also from Raiders. So there's those neat little callbacks. And they do that on occasion in the Mission Impossible movies, but not to that extent. Yeah. So the fact that they wrapped it all up with a nice tight little bow, I like that. I thought that was cool. And, you know, a lot of people might complain, well, now they're just going on member berries and nostalgia. You kind of they kind of steered away from that, but they did it in a classy way to kind of bring it all back together on this one film, and I like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. No comment on that, huh?
And what?
How about no?
You've seen them all. I haven't. That's hard. All I can say is, I mean, it was a decent movie. It was a little too long for me. Ultimately, these are not my kind of movies, so I don't care to go watch them, but I could sit through it. So there's that.
How do you feel about Ethan Hunt not dying in the movie? I know that angered my mom.
That did bug your mom.
But I don't think my mom likes Tom Cruise very much, so I think any movie where he might get killed would be happy for her.
So at this point of the story, we're gonna end it, and there had been so many ridiculous things in the movie, it would have been more fitting for him to die.
You say that, but I like...
And his, team to live on. But, spoiler, fell out of a fucking plane.
The death
His fucking parachute caught on fire. And miraculously, the second one works.
And that's when I think that was when I started laughing, because I was just
doesn't even make sense.
Why did that? Why does anything that could go wrong went wrong? But he figured it out. He MacGyvered that shit and got in there, and I was just like, what? It didn't make a lot of sense.
It's just, it was too much. It was too much.
That's what I'll give this. I mean, a lot of the Indiana Jones. I've been talking about that too much.
Too much.
A lot of the Mission Impossible movies are like that, where just ridiculous things happen. This goes all the way back to the first one with this scene right here. That was ridiculous, but and you know they all have those little moments of that. No, you can't. That can't happen. But it was non-stop from beginning to end. In this movie, there was moments of that's no, that can't happen.
Mostly the submarine.
The submarine.
I mean.
There was a lot to that submarine scene. The submarine scene and the plane scene.
The plane scene, whatever. I've seen that in movies, okay?
Have you?
Let me just spoil alert Rampage, okay?
Oh God.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Look, I don't know much, but I know this, okay? First off, there's no f***ing suit that's gonna let you miraculously just swim in the Arctic depths unharmed, okay? No.
The military has those types of diving suits.
Yes, but you have to go through years and years of training and testing and all of these things.
This is Ethan Hunt. He's gone through all that. He's lived his life.
They literally said this suit had not been tested.
They said that?
They literally said this suit has not been tested. Not in real life. It was only laboratory tests. Okay, so
but the military guys was in them at one point. Were in them.
They were not. They were in regular diving suits. The one that they put Ethan Hunt in was not tested. It was handcrafted. It had only been tested in the lab. They did not know if it was actually going to work. Okay, so first things first. There. Second off, you can't just ask a submarine to slow the down for you to hop off.
Okay, a couple of things here. Let's ease up on the expletives, first of all. And second of all, this is all undercover, deep governmental stuff. Yes, you can do. I'm sure they probably could do that in their situation. Where
you're stopping my rampage.
I have to, because you're not making a lot of sense here, because this was directly ordered by the president. As scary as it is in our real world, anytime the president demands something...
That's what I'm saying, though. In the real world, you cannot do this.
You can.
You can't jump out of a submarine that.
No, you can't do that. But you're talking about, they can't just demand to do that. They can.
I'm not saying they can't demand.
You just did.
No.
Run it back.
You can't just ask a submarine to slow the down for you to hop off. No, what I said is you can't do that, in the sense it's not physically possible to do so. None of what he did underwater, none of what he did in the submarine is physically possible for a human being to do.
I can't get it to focus. You like my action figure? I mean, I get that, but that's the charm of the Mission Impossible movies. That's the icing on the cake.
No, you have to leave it a little realistic. And this was this much percent realistic.
No, you don't. You're just complaining because you're biased against the movie.
How am I biased against the movie?
You just are.
No.
You sure about that?
I am biased against them stretching an action movie to such fakeness that I can't take it.
It's been a while since we've done a full Get Real.
Well, Lottie frickin' da!
Now, I will say, let's get to the part, because I said I was going to mention this, how the movie was kind of like imitating kind of real life, what's going on right now with all the AI fooling people and making them believe dumb things. And
so basically, this entity takes over the interwebs, is projecting images of everybody hating each other and everybody fighting. Guess what? Don't need to project that fakeness.
Yeah.
It's real right now.
That's real.
So that's the scary part. But anyways, they're going to the extreme. The entity is taking it to extremes. It's getting very scary, and nuclear weapons are coming into play. And the entity wants this.
And World War III. They keep saying that World War III is possible. World War III. Well, we actually are living in that right now. Like Israel and Iran. There's nothing good happening in our own country. We're all yelling at each other. So it really imitated. You know, the thing about the Mission Impossible movies and any movies like this that deal with like what could be real life situations, they're scary looking, but it's like, oh, but that's not happening here, and that could never happen here. Everything that you saw in Mission Impossible 3 or Mission Impossible 3? We're on Mission Impossible 8. The Final Reckoning. Everything that happened in The Final Reckoning could very well happen in the near future for us, and that's terrifying. So that was something that made me a little queasy and uncomfortable and anxious. I did not like that. That it was.
So I don't like movies like that. Real.
It was a little too real.
Too real in scenario version.
Yeah, it got there. And then spoiler alert, this is the last thing I'll mention. Luther, Ving Rhames' character, sacrifices himself to save the team and the city of wherever they were at that point. I don't remember.
I don't know, but do you know why he did it? Because they have the meats.
Arby's, we have the meats.
So a little backstory there. So Ving Rhames, of course, he's been in all the Mission Impossible movies. The only other person to do so than Tom Cruise, and he like I said, he sacrifices himself early on in the movie, and that was sad because like he's a beloved character in that franchise. But at the end of the movie, you hear his voiceover of him leaving a message to Ethan, and it's when you look at Ving Rhames and you see him acting, you don't think about it. But when you just hear his voice and he's talking about something, I immediately think of the Arby's commercials.
Because apparently he does those, and I didn't know that.
You don't know that he does those, yes.
I don't think about who actually does the voiceover to those kind of things. So literally, in the theater, he leans over.
No, we have to set it up. We got to set it up. So yeah, he's doing this heartfelt message to Ethan Hunt. And he was talking like this. And then I leaned over to Miss Pengrino and my parents so that they all would hear it, and I said, Arby's, we have the meats.
Arby's, we have the meats.
And everyone just broke. Everyone died in the theater.
Especially his mom. His mom lost it.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was funny.
She heard it, and Miss Pengrino heard it, my dad, but then she relayed it to my dad, who started losing it at the end of the aisle. So it was good times had by all, but that was my favorite part. But
that's why he sacrificed himself.
Because he had the meats.
He had the meats.
Arby's, we have the meats.
So, Ms. Pengrino, would you recommend The Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible?
Look, if you're about the Mission Impossibles, if you like them, if you enjoy them, yes. If you want a final wrap up, also yes. Is it a little long? Yes. And could they cut some parts out? Yes. But overall, it is still a good movie. It is.
I don't know where you're going with that, but okay, great.
There were so someone who enjoys the Mission Impossible. For someone who doesn't enjoy the Mission Impossible, it's a pretty decent action movie if you like action movies. I mean, is it worth going to see in theaters? Meh. If you're someone who doesn't enjoy any of that, no, don't go see it.
And I would 450,000% recommend The Final Reckoning. It is the best Mission Impossible movie that has come out. And it's a wonderful wrap-up of the series. And it's hard to say goodbye to old friends, but I think they did it perfectly. And I'm satisfied with the overall outcome.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Why I like to be nude.
Of the Mission Impossible franchise, and I think this was a great film to do so. And you know, we have the meats.
We have the meats.
Arby's, we have the meats.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And there you have it. That's our official review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And we should wrap this up, Miss Pengrino, because this video is going to self-destruct in 5 seconds. Yeah, just kidding. Now, see, we did that in the last Mission Impossible video, so you're probably expecting it again, but we're not going to do it again. That's ridiculous. We're not going to do it again. So you can sit there and wait for it, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.